Imagine your mind has been holding a tight fist all day, even when nothing is happening. Your shoulders are tense, your breath is shallow, and under everything, there's this quiet pressure that says, don't relax yet. But here's the truth. Worry doesn't protect you. It feels like preparation, but most of the time, it's just rehearsal for pain. Your mind suffering in advance, again and again, for things that may never even arrive. In this video, I'll guide you through a simple Buddhist method to stop feeding worry without fighting your thoughts or forcing your mind to be positive. And stay with me until the end, because I'll share a 45-second worry release ritual you can use every night to finally let your body unclench and rest. Lesson 1. The two sufferings trap. Stop suffering twice. Here's one of the most freeing things Buddhism teaches. Life can hurt once, but the mind often makes it hurt twice. The first suffering is real. Something actually happens. A hard conversation, a mistake, an unexpected bill, a loss you didn't choose. That pain is part of being human, but the second suffering is optional. It's the mental replay, the movie your mind runs on repeat, zooming in, adding music, adding disaster, adding shame, until one moment turns into an entire season of fear. And the more you watch it, the more your body believes it's happening right now. Your heart tightens, your stomach drops, your jaw clenches. You're not just dealing with life, you're dealing with the story your mind is building about life. Think of it like this. You haven't lost the job, but your mind has already lived the loss 50 times. You've already imagined the email, the awkward conversation, the panic, the bills, the disappointment, the what will people think, the whole chain reaction. Nothing has happened yet your nervous system is acting like it already did. That's suffering twice. First in imagination, then again in reality if it ever comes. And often it never comes, but you still paid the price. So here's the practice. Not a big meditation, just a clean interruption. When worry starts rolling the film, pause, right there, feel your feet, unclench your shoulders, and say, gently but clearly, not now, not twice. Then take one slow exhale, longer than your inhale, like you're letting air out of a balloon. That exhale is your signal to the body, we are safe enough to stop rehearsing. You're not denying the problem. You're refusing to suffer in advance. You're choosing to meet reality only when it arrives, not before. And in the next lesson, I'll show you what to do when your mind says, but if I don't worry, I'll lose control. Because that belief is the second trap. Lesson 2, the control circle. A lot of worry doesn't come from the problem itself. It comes from where we keep placing our attention. Most anxiety is simply energy spent in the wrong circle, trying to control what cannot be controlled, trying to fix what cannot be fixed, trying to predict what cannot be predicted. And Buddhism calls this a form of attachment, the mind gripping life like it should behave. So let's make it simple. Imagine 3 circles. Circle 1 is control. These are things you can directly choose. Your next action, your words, your bedtime, your breath, your effort, the boundaries you set, the way you respond. This circle is small but powerful. Circle 2 is influence. These are things you can affect but not command. The outcome of a conversation, a job application, how someone receives your message, how long a process takes. You can show up well, but you can't force the result. Circle 3 is let go. These are the things the mind keeps wrestling that it will never win. The past, the weather, other people's opinions, other people's moods, and the exact moment the future will feel safe. When you're worrying, you're usually living in circle 3 while pretending it's circle 1. So here's your signature tool. Anytime you feel that tight worry rising, pause and ask these 3 questions. slowly. 1. Can I control this? 2. Can I influence this? 3. If not, can I release it for today? Let's make it real. You're waiting for a message. Your mind keeps checking the phone, replaying what you said, imagining rejection. Ask, can I control whether they reply? No. Can I influence it? Maybe by sending one clear follow-up later, or by speaking honestly next time. But right now, most of that spiral is circle 3. Or think about people's opinions. You can't control how they see you. You can influence it through consistency and kindness, but you cannot live inside their minds. And the past, you can't control it at all. You can only learn from it and release it. This is where peace becomes practical. The goal isn't to stop caring. The goal is to stop bleeding your energy into the unchangeable. So do this now. Pick one worry you've been carrying today. Put it in the circles. If it's in control, take one small step. If it's in influence, do your best and let time do the rest. And if it's in let go, say quietly, not mine to hold today. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to return to the present moment in a way that actually calms the nervous system. Fast, gentle, and repeatable. Lesson 3. Train the mind to return. One reason worry feels so exhausting because it pulls you out of your life without you even noticing. Your body is here, but your mind has traveled. It's in a future argument, a future bill, a future mistake, or it's in the past, replaying something you wish you'd said differently. And Buddhism teaches something quietly powerful. Peace isn't a place you arrive at. Peace is a skill you practice, the skill of returning. You don't need a perfect life to feel calmer. You need a way to come back to the only place where life actually happens, this moment. That's why monks train attention like a muscle, not to become thoughtless, but to stop being dragged around by thought. Because when the mind learns to return, it becomes less afraid. It starts to trust. I can handle what's here. Here's the simplest anchor I can give you. And it works, because it's physical, not complicated. When you notice worry pulling you into mental time travel, pause and do this. Step 1. Name 3 things you can see. Slowly, softly. Wall, lamp, curtain, or sky, tree, cup, my hands, anything. Step 2. Feel your feet. Not think about them, feel them. Feel the pressure where your feet meet the floor. Feel your toes. Feel the support underneath you. That's it. 2 steps, and you might wonder, how can something so small change anything? Because worry is not just thinking. It's a full body experience. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a real danger and an imagined one when you're fully absorbed in the story. So your body reacts, tight chest, shallow breath, racing heart. But when you name what you see and feel your feet, you're sending a new message to the brain. I am here. I am in the room. I am not in the disaster movie. This interrupts the spiral because the mind can't be deeply present and deeply time traveling at the same time. Presence breaks the trance. It pulls you out of the future long enough to breathe again. So the next time you catch yourself worrying, even if it's at 2 a.m., don't fight the thoughts. Don't lecture yourself. Just return. 3 things you can see. Feel your feet. And if you want to deepen it, add 1 gentle sentence on the exhale. I am here. This moment is enough. In the next lesson, we'll turn what if into something your mind can actually use. A calm, practical next step. So worry stops looping and starts dissolving. Lesson 4. Replace what if with what now. Worry has a favorite doorway into the mind, and it usually begins with 2 small words. What if? What if I fail? What if they leave? What if something goes wrong? What if I can't handle it? And the reason what if feels so powerful is because it doesn't ask for truth. It asks for imagination. It pulls you into a future that hasn't happened, then convinces your body to react as if it already has. In Buddhism, this is one of the clearest forms of suffering, the mind abandoning the present moment and building a home inside a story. But here's the shift that changes everything. You don't need to stop the mind from generating what-if thoughts. That's like trying to stop waves from forming in the ocean. Instead, you train yourself to answer worry with a new question. A question that brings you back to reality, back to power, back to one small step. The question is simple. What now? Not what might happen. Not what could go wrong. Not what you should have done. Just what is true right now and what is the next kind step. So whenever a fear appears, gently translate it. Turn one imagined future into one present action. For example, worry says, "What if I fail?" You respond, "What is one small step I can take today?" Worry says, "What if I can't fix this?" You respond, "What is one thing within my reach right now?" This is not denial. This is mindfulness. It is the practice of pulling attention out of fantasy and placing it into action, even tiny action. Let's make it real. If your worry is about money, your mind might spiral into a whole disaster film, bills, embarrassment, worst-case scenarios. But instead of living inside that film, you choose one grounded step, make one call, send one email, write one budget note, cancel one unnecessary expense, or set a 10-minute plan. You don't solve your whole financial future in one night. You simply stop feeding helplessness and start feeding clarity. If your worry is about health, your mind might jump to frightening conclusions. But the present step could be gentle and practical. Drink a glass of water, take a short walk, stretch your body slowly, book an appointment, or go to bed earlier tonight. Again, small steps, real steps. Steps that live in the present moment where your power actually exists. And here's what happens when you practice this consistently. Your mind learns that worry is not a command, it's a signal that you need grounding, not spiraling. It's the difference between sitting in fear and moving with wisdom. So the next time what if shows up, don't argue with it, don't chase it, simply meet it with a calm response. What now? Then choose one small step and let that step be your proof that you are not helpless. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to train your mind to notice safety again through a gratitude practice that actually calms the nervous system, not just the emotions. Lesson 5, gratitude as a nervous system reset. When people hear the word gratitude, they often imagine forced smiles and fake optimism, like you're supposed to pretend everything is fine. But that isn't Buddhist gratitude. Buddhist gratitude is not a performance. It's not denial. It's not telling yourself, "I shouldn't feel this." Real gratitude is something much deeper and much calmer. It is the practice of remembering what is stable, even when life feels uncertain. It's the mind saying, "Yes, things are hard and still, something is here, holding me." Worry trains the brain to scan for danger. It narrows your attention until you can only see what might go wrong. And when the mind does that long enough, the nervous system begins to live in a constant state of alarm. That's why gratitude is so powerful. It doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your biology. It tells the body, we are safe enough to soften. And this is the key. You can't fully relax while your mind believes everything is a threat. So instead of chasing big dramatic gratitude, we practice something small and true. This is your ritual, 3 small true things. It's simple enough to do even when you're tired, even when your mind is loud, even when you don't feel spiritual. And that simplicity is why it works. Here's how you do it. Sit for 10 seconds. let your shoulders drop and name 3 things, not exaggerated, not perfect, just true. First, one body thing, something your body is doing right now that is keeping you alive. You can say, I can breathe, or my heart is still beating, or my legs carried me today. This step matters because it brings you out of the mind and into the body, where reality is calmer than imagination. Second, one support thing, something that is holding you, helping you, even quietly. I have a bed, I have water, I have a roof, I have a phone that can call for help, I have one person I can message. It doesn't need to be big, it just needs to be real. Support reminds the nervous system, I am not completely alone. Third, one moment thing, something gentle in the present. This quiet right now, the warmth of this blanket, the softness of the night, the sound of rain, the fact that I made it through today. This step anchors you in the present moment, the only moment where peace can actually be felt. And here's the line I want you to remember. This rewires the mind to notice safety, not only threats. You're training your attention like a monk trains the mind, not to ignore problems, but to stop living as if life is only danger. Over time, this changes the emotional baseline of your day. You still handle responsibilities, but you handle them with less panic. You still face uncertainty, but you face it with more steadiness. Try this ritual in the morning before you touch your phone, or at night when you're lying in bed and worry starts whispering. And if your mind says, this is too small to matter, that's exactly why you should do it. Because peace is rarely built from huge breakthroughs. Peace is built from tiny returns, repeated until they become who you are. In the next lesson, we're going to remove one of the biggest hidden sources of daily worry, the exhausting pressure to be liked, understood, and approved of by everyone. Lesson 6. Drop the approval debt. Stop performing for peace. A huge amount of daily worry has nothing to do with money, health, or the future. It comes from something quieter and more exhausting, the constant need to be understood, liked, and approved of. You replay conversations in your head. You rewrite your messages before sending them. You worry about your tone. You worry about how you looked, how you sounded, whether you were too much or not enough. And even when nothing bad happens, your mind keeps checking for danger in other people's faces. Buddhist wisdom would call this a form of attachment, not attachment to a thing, but attachment to an image, the image of being acceptable, the image of being good, the image of never being judged. But here's the problem. Approval is a debt you can never finish paying. The more you try to pay it off, the more it grows. Because someone will always misunderstand you. Someone will always have an opinion. Someone will always take your boundaries personally. And if your peace depends on how others interpret you, your peace will never be fully yours. This is why trying to please everyone becomes a kind of self-abandonment. You slowly train yourself to leave your own truth and live inside other people's expectations. You become a performer, not a person. And the performance creates worry because it never ends. The mind keeps asking, did I say it right? Did I explain enough? Did they think I was rude? Should I send one more message to make sure they're okay? And before you know it, you're spending your life managing reactions instead of living. So here's the practice that breaks the spell. It's small, but it's powerful. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself too much, to defend your choices, to over-apologize, or to chase someone's approval, pause. Take one slow breath and ask yourself this single question. Is this clarity or anxiety? Clarity is calm. It's simple. It doesn't need 10 paragraphs. It doesn't need perfect timing. It speaks once, and it can rest. Anxiety, on the other hand, keeps talking because it's trying to control the outcome. Anxiety is trying to force understanding. Anxiety is trying to guarantee acceptance. And Buddhism reminds us, you cannot control how a person receives you. You can only control your intention, your honesty, and your kindness. Think about how often worry is just you replaying an argument that already ended. You imagine what you should have said. You craft the perfect response hours later. You practice defending yourself in your mind like you're preparing for a trial. But most of the time, the trial is imaginary, and you're the one keeping it alive. Or notice over-apologizing. Sometimes you're not apologizing because you did something wrong. You're apologizing because you're afraid someone will be upset. That's not kindness. That's fear wearing kindness as a mask. And people-pleasing is the same. You say yes when you mean no, not because you want to, but because you want to be safe in their eyes. So let's rewrite the rule. You do not need to be fully understood to be at peace. You only need to be aligned with your own heart. If your intention was sincere, if you acted with care, if you spoke honestly, then that is enough. Let people have their interpretations. Let them have their moods. Let them have their stories. You don't have to live inside them. Try this tonight. If your mind is looping on someone's opinion, place a hand on your chest and say softly, I release the need to be approved of. I return to my truth. The more you practice this, the lighter you become, because you stop paying a debt that never ends, and you start living from a peace that belongs to you. Lesson 7. Imperfect is allowed. Perfectionism often looks like ambition, but underneath it, it's usually the same old emotion, wearing a cleaner outfit. Worry. Worry that you'll be judged. Worry that you'll fail. Worry that if you don't get it exactly right, something will be taken from you. Respect, love, opportunity, belonging. That's why perfectionism is so exhausting. It doesn't simply ask you to improve. It asks you to prove yourself every day, in every moment, with no rest. Buddhism offers a gentler truth. The goal is not a perfect life. The goal is a clear mind and a kind heart that can meet life as it is. The Buddha did not teach perfection. He taught awakening, seeing clearly, letting go, and returning to the present moment again and again. And one of the most beautiful tools in that path is something Zen calls beginner's mind. It means you show up to your life as a student, not as a performer. You don't demand flawless outcomes. You practice awareness. You practice sincerity. You practice growth. Because here is what perfectionism does to the mind. It turns every task into a test of your worth. You don't just write an email. You fear being misunderstood. You don't just start a project. You fear not being the best. You don't just speak. You replay it later and criticize yourself. Even rest starts to feel earned, like you're only allowed to relax after you've been impressive enough. And that is a quiet kind of suffering, because it makes peace feel like something that always lives in the future. I'll feel calm when everything is done, when I'm better, when I'm finally enough. But the truth is, peace is not a reward for perfection. Peace is a practice you are allowed to enter right now. So here's the shift. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I didn't do it perfectly, replace it with, I did it sincerely. Sincerity is powerful because it's real. Sincerity means you showed up with what you had. You tried. You learned. You adjusted. And you kept going. That is more honest and more sustainable than trying to maintain an impossible standard. And here is the mantra I want you to keep close, especially on the days you feel behind, messy or unsure. I can be a work in progress and still be worthy of peace. Say it slowly. Let your shoulders drop as you say it. Feel what it means. You are allowed to grow slowly. You are allowed to make mistakes and still be a good person. You are allowed to have imperfect days and still be worthy of rest. The lotus blooms from mud, not from flawless conditions. Your life is the practice. Your errors are part of the learning. Nothing about being human disqualifies you from calm. Try this when perfectionism gets loud. Take one breath and ask, what would beginner's mind do here? It would do the next small step without drama. It would stop insulting itself. It would learn and move on. That is how worry loses one of its favorite hiding places. And now, before we close, I'm going to give you the short ritual I promised. A 45-second practice to release worry at night so your mind can finally let go and your body can rest. Bonus lesson, the 45-second worry release ritual. Now here's the part I promised you, a simple ritual you can use any night when worry tries to keep you awake. This isn't about forcing your thoughts away. It's about giving your nervous system a clear message. We can stop carrying tomorrow right now. If you do this consistently, it becomes a habit of peace. First, place one hand gently on your chest. Feel the warmth of your palm. Then take one long, slow exhale, a little longer than your inhale, like you're emptying a cup. Let your shoulders drop as you breathe out. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just letting the body soften. Second, in a quiet voice, even if it's only in your mind, whisper, I release tomorrow for now. Say it slowly. Say it like you mean it. Not forever, just for now. You are allowed to pause the future. You are allowed to set it down beside the bed. Third, choose one tiny next step for tomorrow. Just one, not a whole plan. Not a whole life, one small step that supports you. If it helps, write it down in a note on your phone or on paper. Something simple like, make one call, send one email, drink water and walk, pay one bill, have one honest conversation. This step tells the mind, we are not ignoring life. We are handling it calmly. And finally, close the ritual with one gentle sentence, tonight I rest. Let those words be your boundary. Let them be the door you close. The world can wait. The mind can wait. Your body deserves sleep. And if you're doing this with me tonight, leave a comment that says, I release tomorrow. It's a small sentence, but it's a powerful choice. Now imagine worry as a visitor knocking at your door. It knocks with many faces. What if? Not enough? What's next? Did I do it right? What will they think? But you don't have to fight this visitor, and you don't have to invite it to move in. You simply notice the knock, and you return to your breath. In and out. Slow. Gentle, like you're coming home to yourself. Remember what you practiced today. Don't suffer twice. The mind doesn't need to replay pain in advance. Use the control circle so your energy stops leaking into what you can't change. Return to now by naming what you see and feeling your feet. When fear says what if, answer with what now and take one small step. Let gratitude become safety, not pretend happiness. 3 small true things that settle the nervous system. Drop the approval debt, because your peace isn't owned by other people's opinions. And release perfection. Because imperfect is allowed, you can be a work in progress and still be worthy of peace. So take one more slow breath and let your body understand this. You do not have to solve your whole life tonight. You only have to be here, in this moment, in this breath, in this quiet. If you're choosing a calmer mind this year, subscribe and rest here again.